Good morning, and you're very welcome to this morning's live. This morning we're going to be talking again about lighting. Now, lighting is such an important part of home design. It really sets the tone, the ambience, but it tends to be something that is a little bit of an afterthought, and definitely where budget is an issue, any kind of fancier or more intricate lighting details tend to get cut as a way to try and make savings. So today I'm absolutely delighted that Willie Duggan is going to join us from Willie Duggan Lighting. He'll be in their showroom in Kilkenny, so he's got a wealth of information, of knowledge that he's going to be able to share with us. Plus as well, all of the fabulous products that they stock in their showroom and that they can source. So we're going to be talking a little bit about how to plan your lighting, because Willie offers a consultancy service, so you can go in with your drawings, with your plans. He'll be able to run through them with you and help you plan that lighting from the very early stages of your project. But then they can also help you source the light fittings as well. So really is a fantastic service and a one-stop shop. And then as well, just to say that we can also help out, if you are concerned about lighting, if there are any areas of your home that you feel that you're struggling with, we're also here to help. So you can just go ahead, book a call. There's a link in our bio, and our team are very happy to chat with you about anything that you want to discuss. So I'm going to invite Willie now to join me. Just trying to get it to connect. Sorry about this, guys. Just waiting. There we go. Hi, Willie.
Hi Denise.
How
are
are
you doing?
Good morning to you. How are you keeping?
Yeah, not too bad. It's always trying to get this set up, or you're just hoping that all the technical pieces work. But we're connected now, so that's the main thing. Everything sounds good to you from
Yes,
your end.
perfect. No, loud and clear.
Great.
So yeah. No, you never know what
Great.
technology is going to do. Yeah, we've had
Oh no,
quite a few issues.
I do presentations, CPD presentations, quite a lot for architects and interiors and that. You plan as best you can, but quite often you come in and the best laid plans, and then next thing the laptop for some reason doesn't connect.
I know, always lets you down.
Yeah.
It has a mind of its own, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So listen,
So
thank
fingers
you
crossed.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know you're busy. Your showroom is open this morning now, and you're very good. You're very good to give up your time. But I think, Willie, like as I was saying in the intro, lighting is such an important part of home design, but possibly one of the things that does get left to the side, or in some cases even forgotten about, and then people try and fill in the gaps with lamps. So I was just saying that you guys offer a consultancy service where people can come and discuss, their plans for their home with you, and you can help them plan their lighting.
Yeah, like it's a big part of what we do and what we've evolved. Like we've always offered that, and it's been part of what we did is sort of guide people as well as sell products. But it's really evolved. On the commercial side, we're doing the Central Plaza on Dame Street, Blanchardstown Shopping Centre, Carton House, so lovely projects like that. But the residential, there's a huge demand, and it's totally understandable. Like lighting's a bit like computers these days. It's sort of the technology is moving so fast, and and it's even for us every year we're really having to get updated with changes and that. But for somebody with lighting generally, and I suppose for a lot of home sort of renovations, particularly lighting, it might be something you might look at once every 15 years or something like this, and it's not changed quite often, and the technology moves very fast. So that's part of what we do in terms of whether it's a 1 hour sit down just to guide people, or a full sort of design package where we can take it from literally from start to finish and guide your electrician and that. So and it's really growing, and there's a real demand for it, which is great. But it's so important really to think about it early.
Definitely. Well, that is critical. The earlier the better, because I know we and it's so funny, Willie. All of the experts that I speak to on these sessions, early is key. Early with everything. I think giving yourself as much time as possible, because everything takes much longer than you think it's going to take, so the earlier you guys can start planning, looking into things, talking to experts, and there's, so many available, the better. Definitely, it'll pay off in the long run.
It's like it takes time, first of all, to get it clear in your head what you like or what you want, and that type of thing. But I know one of the things you had said beforehand was, what was the problems that I would see people encounter, and it is that sort of thinking about it early, sometimes, particularly with lighting, and there's so much going on. I get it, because we're doing a renovation ourselves, and there's so many decisions to be made. It's crazy. And lighting quite often is left to the last. But what happens from my experience is they sort of, people get pigeonholed a little bit. The further down the line you go, the less options you have. Like, there's an awful lot you can do in terms of hidden lighting. There's an awful lot you can do in terms of, even offsetting downlights in a corridor or something can make a big difference. But if it's left to the electrician, you'll end up with maybe quite a functional layout, and it curtails what you can do later. If that makes sense.
No, definitely. And like, it's so true, any of those lovely discrete lighting features or things that really can enhance a space in a very subtle way are really difficult to retrofit and will add cost. So the earlier you can plan all of that sort of stuff in and really start thinking about that as part of the overall design of the space, the better. Definitely. Yeah.
Like, hidden lighting is so cheap, like LED tape, which we would obviously use for hidden lighting. It's really not expensive. And what's so fantastic about hidden lighting is you don't see the light source, but you see the effect, and it's a very indirect, very soft effect. And it, as I said, it doesn't cost money. It's just thinking about it early, and it's really easy to build in. No, fantastic, absolutely. Well, Willie, what I thought would be really good for people was to try and take a little run through a typical house and just have a chat about the different areas, and possibly to start with the one that I know a lot of people are working on at the moment, those open plan kitchen living multifunctional spaces. So what would your advice be there? Like, I suppose they're a tricky space. I suppose the most complex space in the house. Like, I would think let's first of all to look at the kitchen. I suppose one thing to consider with these spaces is they're all interrelated. It is one space, but there's many different functions. And I think with any space, and for us, when we're looking at any space, we would you first of all need to understand the functions that you're going to be carrying out there, and then maybe the atmosphere that you want to get. And particularly for those open plan spaces, you're going to be creating multiple scenes. There's a certain atmosphere you want when you're late evening dining, and then in your kitchen you're going to need certain sort of functions as well at different times of the day. So it's sort of considering that interrelationship as such. But like first of all, I suppose for the kitchen, I could take them individually and then talk about how they connect together a little bit.
Lovely, that'd be great.
So like, let's say for the kitchen, like it's the one space in the house where you do need good functional lighting.
Sure.
I know downlights would be popular or have been popular, but to be honest, I like, it's the one place where I would use downlights. I find downlights in a lot of other space. There's better ways to light in other parts of your house, like let's say table lamps, floor lamps, pendants. You can get lovely indirect lighting onto your surfaces. So you don't necessarily need to use downlights everywhere. But the one place I would really consider would be the kitchen, and it's sort of because it's the one place you do need the good level of light onto your worktop. I would consider where you place your downlights as well, so that you're not sort of working in your own shadow, so that they're placed directly over the worktop. The quality of the light is important. So without getting into too sort of technical sort of terms and that, but there's colour rendering, which is really how true lighting brings out your colours. So it goes from 0 to 100. We'd say anything above 90 is really good. So it'll bring out your colours clearly and accurately in your kitchen and that, So that would be the first thing in the kitchen would be, I would, consider downlights in the kitchen, but consider the placement of them. In terms of issues I've seen before, or quite often we have people coming into us and they've one cable location in the middle of the kitchen. And they're going, I can't really, I'm struggling to use the kitchen correctly, or just to have proper light. So it's that placement of the light fittings is very, very important, you
Yeah,
know.
no, it's key. And I think to build flexibility as well, because like we would see that too. And often we would do a lot of show houses, for example. And often that is the very case, you know, where you come in and there's two pendants in the most ludicrous
Yeah,
places and you're thinking, oh my
yeah.
Lord, you know, if only this had been thought about a little bit. So no, it is critical, definitely.
Yeah, like there's ways around that, and like as I said, I've encountered that before, and there's sort of things you can do in terms of having maybe a type of suspended track of some sort or something like that. But what you're trying to do is catch up there a little bit,
Yes,
because you're trying to fix something rather than starting from scratch, and that's the great thing. Going back to that thinking early, because you have a blank canvas and you can sort of you have the full range of options. The other thing with the kitchen, I suppose, and when you consider it in relation to maybe a kitchen, living, dining area, would be, I would nearly, well, obviously you'll have lighting underneath your kitchen unit is crucial as well, because it's a perfect place to have lighting. It's giving you directly where you need it. But I would consider putting maybe some indirect lighting above your kitchen units or something, some hidden lighting, particularly in an open plan kitchen, living, dining, so that it's, let's say in your evening dining scene, you have a little bit of background lighting in your kitchen. It doesn't feel like a dark space in the corner.
Sure.
So it's sort of it feels it just gives a nice soft background lighting. So that would be certainly something that we would always consider with a kitchen, living, dining area for the kitchen area itself. You know.
Lovely.
Like the dining spaces. Then you're looking at. And then obviously you might have a kitchen island unit. But yeah, you've a pendant here, the LZF Black Note.
It's lovely. It's really lovely, Willie.
Yeah. Like LZF, we've dealt with them for years. Like for us, like we're family business, third generation. So I'm Willie Duggan. My grandfather was Willie Duggan. My father was Willie Duggan. So, but my parents have generated like relationships with a lot of these companies for years. So we've dealt with LZF since, I think, the late 90s, early 90s, or mid 90s probably, when they were just in their infancy. And it started off with wood veneer, and just for themselves as craftspeople, and they developed into this fantastic brand. But the Black Note's beautiful fitting, and the great thing with the wood veneer is how it's the atmosphere it creates. You know,
it's beautiful.
It's sort of how
it's really
lovely. But obviously, over your dining table, you're going to use something like the Black Note, like just a pendant as such, typically, and it's for that layered decoration, and obviously it needs to tie in like you guys, which would be really your area of expertise, that interior vision. But it also gives you that focus, if that makes sense, particularly when you're dining, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and what's the name of the brand again? Willie, we just got a question there.
Okay, LZF lamps.
LZF,
they're called.
there we go. Black Note. Very
good.
Thank
Black
you.
Note. They're handmade in Valencia in Spain. So, there's a whole range. As I said, what's great with the wood veneer is the atmosphere it creates. So you can use it for the likes of a stylish piece over a dining table like that, or, you know, I suppose for a lot of spaces in your house, you're looking for atmosphere. You know, as I said, the kitchen is where you need function, but it's elsewhere, like the living spaces, the bedrooms, it's atmosphere. I suppose that's where the likes of the wood veneer is great, you know.
Yeah, no, really, really lovely, great. And really, so then moving into kind of, like you were explaining, when you're trying to create atmosphere and things like that, like what are the different things that you recommend to people to do that easily? I suppose one of the key things is being able to control the level of the lights. So, you know, with lighting control and stuff, being able to dim it or brighten it or whatever.
Obviously, light control is like, it's again, that's an area of lighting that's really sort of you know, it's like the technology is moving on all the time, and there's so much you can do. I would say for your kitchen, living, dining area, that control is maybe quite important, you know, and where I would sort of put a bit of thought and invest a little bit in control. Elsewhere in the house, it could be kept quite simple, you know. In terms of creating atmosphere, I would think definitely the likes of that ability to be able to dim, you know. I'd also consider the likes of wood veneer. I consider the color temperature
Yes. Yeah.
which is so important. So color temperature is how close to the red end or the blue end of the spectrum the light source is. So how warm or cool. So we'd be sort of thinking 2,500 to 2,700 is a really nice warm light,
Right.
which gives a great atmosphere. So color temperature is really important. You can play with light shadow, you know, so whether it's texture, if you have a bit of a stone surface within your space, you can light this, and a light shadow, the highlighting texture creates a fantastic sort of interest and ambience in the space as well, you know. So yeah, there's a number of different techniques you can use, but the color temperature is a big one.
It's huge, isn't it, Willie? And just, you know, for people, I think they'll all understand those kind of icy blue lights, you know, the Christmas lights. If you think of fairy lights, they come in that really nice warm, or the really icy color, and it's just unpleasant, you know, and it's not pleasant, especially when you're trying to wind down and relax. So yeah, a nice warm temperature is really important.
It's like that's been the problem with LED when it came out first. It tends to be, at first it would have been the same, it tends to be a bluer light. So it's sort of, the real challenge with developing the technology was to get that warmth into it. Now, if you a good quality LED, you get that nowadays, but you still have to be that little bit careful, and you still have to ask those questions, you know, color temperature, color rendering. But yeah, no, that's the one thing that kills atmosphere. And I've seen people do it, and energy efficiency and sustainability is so important. But there's this real drive. Okay, I need to make my installation, you know, energy efficient. But sometimes I like quality. Maybe it's not as understood as it could be, and the whole atmosphere suffers, you know.
Yeah, it does absolutely. And I think as well, it's because people don't know. Like, I know I've seen in the past where you know, people might have done a fabulous job in their kitchen area, but whoever supplied the lighting, the under cabinet lighting, went for the cool light, and people just didn't understand that they had an option, you know, where there were definitely options. So it's just knowing to ask the right questions, I guess.
It is. It's a big thing of what we're about, and I suppose what you're about here with the likes of these Q&As and that. But it's about educating people, you know. And if people like it, and there's only a number of questions you need to know to ask. You know, you need to ask the color temperature, and even to know what you don't know, to know what's available, and because you see that even in people maintaining spaces, and they'll change out a light bulb, and next thing you know, one of them's cool and the rest of them are warm, and the space looks disjointed. And it's obviously the person just didn't realize what to look for when they were buying their bulb as such, you know.
And actually, Willie, this light here that's just in the image, so you were talking there about playing with shadows, but that would cast lovely kind of shadows and shapes in the space, wouldn't it? What fitting is that?
Again, this is from the LZF range, actually. This is the raindrop. Yeah. It was really just giving an idea for bedroom lighting. And as I was saying, what's great about the wood veneer is how it creates atmosphere. And really for the likes of bedroom, that's what you do. It's just a low light. You just need to create lovely atmosphere. And as I said, that will create great shadows as well. So yeah, that light shadow effect from light fittings is fantastic. You know, when you can do it with downlights, you can light texture to do that, but you can also do that with particular types of light fittings, you know, where you're lighting through, I don't know, dappled glass, or you're lighting through metal, or you're lighting through something like this, which is a wood veneer that's sort of shaped to allow that light shadow effect, you know.
Yeah, no, really lovely. And I see a question there, Willie. Any recommendations for lighting on a vaulted ceiling in an open plan area?
Okay, yeah. So if we get asked questions about vaulted ceilings sort of a lot, because they're a lot more common these days, and they're double height. And it's a challenge to fill that space a little bit sometimes. Two things that will come to mind. First would be, again, hidden lighting, but because you got the height, sometimes it's lovely to highlight that, you know. So a copper detail around the edge can be great with the likes of LED tape. And again, with your tape, like we were saying with the bulbs, you just want to specify the right tape, something that's very warm, you know, 2,500 or 2,700 Kelvin. Then to fill the space, I actually, if I sent an image across there yesterday, Denise, the spider pendant, just the cluster pendant systems, which can be great for filling sort of larger spaces.
Okay,
if you have that there, it'd be great to share it.
I'll have a little look now.
Yeah. So there's these as such. Sometimes when you have taller spaces, It's difficult to fill them, you know, because you might have a vaulted space like that, or you might have an entrance hallway. No, that's the Nautilus. But it's so basically you can use these cluster systems. Yes, so this is it. If everyone can see it. No, you're fine. You're fine. I sent you through quite a few images. So
no, they're all gorgeous. They're lovely. Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. Look, it's all ideas. Images are great for, I suppose, look, when people are trying to evolve what they want, and we find it's a challenge as well. It's just, people nearly, images are fantastic, you know. But if you can see this here, it's got one point in the middle with a radial coming out from that with numerous pendants on it, and sort of hooks that hook onto the ceiling. So it's totally adaptable.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so you can adjust them then and position them wherever you want to different areas. That's fabulous. And you can change that then as well. So like if you wanted to change that arrangement, you can, and then you don't have to rewire the space or anything. And actually these heads are tiltable as well, so you have that sort of flexibility. But these type of systems are available. So this is a spider, and I was looking at this for a living area, just in terms of ideas of different things that can be done. And it's great when you're maybe retrofitting as well. So you've got one cable point in the middle of the room, but you want to get all this flexibility in your lighting. Something like a pendant system like this. But it can work great in the likes of the vaulted spaces as well, you know. So with larger pendants, where we can hang 2 or 3 at different heights, and it sort of fills that space. So that'll be it. I would think uplighting ceiling can work really well and could be considered for that. But also maybe 2 or 3 pendants together, or a system maybe such as this can fill that space as well. Really, you know. Gorgeous, yeah, lovely. Yeah. And then there was another question there, really just on the LED tapes. Somebody asking, does replacing that require a professional to come and do that? Yeah, it's low voltage. You probably you should use an electrician. But like just from experience, like we've been selling tape for quite a number of years. Like LED tape's been around maybe 10, 15 years now. Over the last 10, 15 years, it's gone from a low output, probably poorer light quality, to now we can get outputs that are much higher than what you would have had from the ultraviolet patterns and stuff. So you get really big outputs and great light quality. But we haven't, like, I don't see it fail that often, you know. Where you might get a failure is in what they call a driver, which is the control gear. But LED is, in general, I can't say that there is poor quality, you need to be careful. But in general, it's got a huge lamp life. Like, it's compared to your incandescent, your old bulb would last 800 hours, and your LED now lasts 50,000. So in theory, you shouldn't. I haven't seen many people have to go back to the tape. But if you did, you should use electrician. Use electrician, and possibly maybe they're worried about the color temperature and they just wanted to swap it out. So yeah, it's probably wisest to use electrician. I would, just to be safe. The last thing I want is someone to go electrocute themselves after you're doing that. But it's a simple job. Like, and tape's not expensive. And if they had an issue with their color temperature, they should change it out. It's not going to cost them much money, but they get huge value in the long term, you know. Absolutely. In terms of atmosphere and that. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. And then just another question was about someone who converted a bedroom into a bathroom, looking for sconces for either side of the mirror or wall lights. Would you have any?
Yeah, like in the past, like I suppose the selection for bathroom lighting was a little bit more curtailed. You know, we have huge selection for the rest interiors, but in bathroom there's a little bit more of a requirement on IP ratings, waterproof ratings, stuff like that. There is a company, Astro, now. Again, they're on our website, and they do a really great range of stylish bathroom lights, you know. So I would say Astro are great, but I would say you're sort of looking for something that would be IP44, so it's a little bit more waterproof than your standard sort of interior light.
No, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
but
Yeah, that you do need to choose a light that is suitable for bathrooms. So you just can't go out and buy any old wall light and put it in. So that's an
no.
important point.
The thing, people can be a little bit over careful sometimes in bathroom. Like it's only around the mirror where you need that. Like there's other parts of the bathroom where there's not the same IP requirements, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility in what you put in. But I would always at bathrooms, you obviously be you'd be keeping with something like glass or metal. You'd be staying away from material shapes or anything like that. You know, that would be affected from steam. But yeah, no, I would say that. Yeah, just be careful on the IP rating. The second thing is that it gives good light out. So if it's, let's say, just an up down light, you won't get as much light onto your face.
Sure.
So for makeup, it's probably not quite as good. But if you get the light that gives good sort of good light out from it, you get better sort of facial lighting.
Great, Willie. Yeah, no, that's brilliant advice. Fantastic. And then we have another question about illuminating a textured wall, an internal sandstone wall. There's lots of options there, actually, aren't there?
Like that's brilliant. Whoever said that in this,
it's fabulous.
Whoever said that in is definitely thinking along the right lines. Because there's like texture's fantastic.
But anyway, that's probably that's outside.
Yeah. I had one. Yeah, they're on the same wavelength as me. We did this in Carton House about 2 weeks ago. So we're doing the light design in Carton House, and for us mock-ups is a big thing, and because it's for two reasons. One, to get it right. You know, like the distance that you have your in-ground from the wall or can make a big difference on the effect. But the second thing, to be able to articulate it to people, and it's a bit like images or mock-ups that help do that. But the texture is fantastic. It just gives real character, you know, and lighting, it's just there's a great opportunity in terms of creating atmosphere. It's a really good technique to do that, you know. So I would encourage, like for that person with the sandstone wall, there's probably two ways to do it. It depends on how far along they are in their build, you know, or if it's an existing sort of space. If it's sort of an existing space, you might downlight. Now the thing I would say with downlighting is I would try to use the downlights where the light source sits back a little bit, so you're not looking directly at the bulb. So your attention is more on the effect on the wall, or you could also use LED tape behind a little down stand.
Oh yeah.
So the thing is that the key is that you don't look at the light source, but you look at the light effect.
You look at the effect.
Yeah. Which is the same what we have here in this image, which is the in-ground fittings at Carton House, is that you don't see the fitting because it's in the ground, but you see the effect, and that becomes the feature. You know?
Gorgeous. Yeah.
So they could use an in-ground fitting either, but it just depends on whether they're that far along in their build or not, you know.
Exactly, or as you say, if they're trying to retrofit this. And there's these fittings, Willie, as well, which are, now I know these are a particular colour, but you can get white versions of these which can be directed, so they could go in the ceiling, could they, and pointed at the
They could.
wall? Yeah.
They could. Yeah, and as you see, these particular ones, you see that the light source, you can't see the LED in this, because of the lamp. The lamp is sitting back up. But and that's just something to really consider with LED. LED is quite an intense light source.
Yeah.
Let's say your old bulb, incandescent bulb, the light's scattered everywhere, so it's not quite intense. Whereas the LED is a beam. Yeah. So that's why I would look for LED where your actual LED sits back up about an inch or two. So these would be ideal maybe for lighting a wall, because you're not really going to see the light source, but you'll see the light effect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They come like there's so much you could do with downlights now. They come with you could get these pink or green or whatever. They come in a range of different colours. And obviously white is probably the simplest. But sometimes, let's say with the likes of the gold finish here, it really creates an additional warmth, you know, because you get the reflected light from the colour.
Gorgeous. And who are these by, Willie? These particular photos?
It's Prolex. They're an Austrian company. It's very similar to LZF. We've dealt with them for 25 years at this stage. But they have this huge range of sort of this adaptability. You know, being able to change all of the trim colours. You can also get these trimless. I'm sure you've seen it before, but where you actually plaster in the downlights, and they become quite subtle. You know. The product are great, really sort of innovative, always changing and moving, which is great. But then sort
and
of
just to say, I
as
know
well.
from experience just using these kind of fittings that they have to be specified well in advance of, you know, the builder getting to the point of needing to fit them, because they need to accommodate those fittings. It's not just like you can, okay, the builder needs lights, I'll run out and get them, because, you know, you need to let them know the specific fitting. So that would be quite important to choose all this stuff early on, like we were saying before.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sort of it's like you're saying, like typically I see what happened. The dynamic is, oh shit, we need some downlights for the kitchen. Get down and get some downlights for the kitchen, and they're in before they know it. And again, the layout maybe isn't thought about quite as well as it could be. But as you said, that the fitting itself isn't thought about, you know, quite as well. So yeah, it's just actually just sitting down just as early as you can, and just having a little bit of a think of what you're trying to achieve, you know, what you want in terms of function, what you want in terms of style, and then it gives you a bit of an idea of where you want to locate things. But yeah, it just, it's like anything, and I'm sure you see it all the time, Denise, but when you're trying to make decisions in a hurry, that's when it's very difficult.
And it's stressful too, Willie. Yeah, so definitely my advice would be, please try and avoid that. You know, give yourself plenty of time. It'd be much more enjoyable process.
This is it.
Yeah, and then back to bedrooms, Willie, because we got a question this morning from somebody. Advice on lighting a large guest bedroom with 2 beds. Just wanting to know about that, because bedrooms are funny. I think people tend to overlight them, and really in a bedroom, you're not going to be turning on your downlights or whatever. It's as you were saying earlier, it's more about ambience. Yeah,
I totally agree. It's like, I would say with bedroom is completely about ambience. Like it can be quite simple, you know. You could have just 2 table lamps and a material shade pendant, and it can work fantastic, you know. And it's quite cost. Sometimes, like, you know, everyone's working to a budget, and like I'd sort of always recommend, look, spend the money where you're living. You know, spend a lot of your time. So maybe in that open plan kitchen, living, dining space, it might be worth splashing out a little bit more. You can do a fantastic job in a bedroom for very little money with a material shade which can create great atmosphere. And maybe a couple of sort of table lamps. The one thing I would say with the shade is there's shades where you can get a diffuser on it, so you don't see the lamp or the bulb, which is great, because that sort of takes away from the whole. It takes away from the whole effect of the shade when the bulb is quite visible. You can also, there's lots of different ways you can get wall lights with. And if you're worried about reading, you can get them with that LED arm on them. I'm sure you've, again, used them before. You can hang pendants either side of the bed if you're looking to mix it up a little bit more. I've seen people put downlights in bedrooms, but I think they're unnecessary, to be honest with you. And quite often they can cause a problem if you're lying in the bed and the downlights are switched on. They're quite in your face, you know. So I would be saying keep it. Table lamps, floor lamps, and pendants throughout a lot of your house can work really well, because what's great about them is they give light onto your surfaces, and that's what creates your ambience, you know.
And gives you total control. You can turn them on, turn them off. Yeah, exactly. So you have total flexibility then, depending on the ambience you're trying to create.
And that's just another point, I suppose, for the open plan spaces. Just one thing to consider in that kitchen, living, dining space is the use of 5 amp sockets. Which are your standard sockets would be 13 amps, but they can't be, because they're 13 amps, they can't be switched from the wall switch. So you have to use a different socket, which you can switch then from your wall switch, which enables you in a large open plan space to have all your table lamps and floor lamps switched from your wall. So you can actually, from the one location, create your scene, rather than walk around the room and switch them all on and off. So,
No, that's terrific. Great. And actually, it's a very good question there about dimming LED fittings, which I know that used to be able to be possible, but now it is, Willie, isn't it? And they're asking about flickering and issues with them, but
you can get flickering. I've seen it, and it happens, and it was more common before, but the bulbs are getting better, type of thing, you know. You just got to make sure, you got to double check that your LED bulb, first of all, is dimmable. But some of the older dim switches struggle with the LED technology, so you might have to switch them out. So that's where you can get that. You can get that flashing thing. And that's caused by there's an issue in compatibility between the dimmer switch you're using and the the LED, but there's a huge amount of like the dim switches now that are obviously designed for the LED technology, so they're pretty easy to get. You know, it's just crazy. Again, asking the question, I suppose. You know.
Yeah. And is this something, Willie, that someone could come to you about? That exact question. I have these lights. Don't know if they're suitable. Want to switch it out to dimmers. Can you guys advise them and then point them in the direction of the right bulbs and all of that?
Yeah, we do that all the time. Actually, we're sort of doing a little bit like what you're doing here on Instagram. I do Q&As every Wednesday, and I'm answering questions and we're giving tips all the time.
Right.
We're more than happy to do that in our space here or online, you know, because it's again, that education piece is huge. I think if we can educate people, we can help them create great interiors, and that's I suppose the aim of what we're trying to do, you know.
Yeah, fabulous. Brilliant. Well, Willie, thank you so much. I'm just so conscious that that's taken up a huge amount of your time now. So thank you so much. For
you're grand. You're grand. I could chat here all day, Denise, if you want to.
And just to say, for anybody who does want to pop in and see you, the showroom is open. What days are you open? What times and stuff?
Well, it's a little bit different at the moment. Actually, we're by appointment at the moment. Okay. 2 reasons for that. The COVID situation has sort of led to that in some ways, just in terms of managing staffing here. But also, we find that by doing it, and we found it a real benefit to it, actually, to be honest, in terms of people can send in their image, they can send in their plans beforehand so that we're really prepared, and then we can give people a great time. So it's actually worked great, but it's just people to be aware of that. But we also operate online, so the big vision with our space here is what we've done, I don't know if this is, as you can see, our showroom space, but we've renovated over the last a couple of years, and we've sort of brought it into room sets. So we display the lighting in context. It's more of an inspiration space than a typical lighting showroom. And we've also partnered with quite a number of brands. So we partnered with Finline Furniture. I don't think if you know them, they're in Port Leash.
No, I do, absolutely. Wonderful.
Handmade Irish furniture. That's fantastic. Leinster Stone are here. Vita Italia have a kitchen behind me. The Scavellini kitchen. We have CA Designs here. Green Scene is the tree behind me. And we have, what else do we have? Colour Trend. As I said, Leinster Stone, who are in our state. So the idea is that you can come here and be inspired, and we can introduce you to great partners. So that's sort of the vision. So look, as I said, we're available online to answer any questions and help you guys through the online, or if you want to call here, we're delighted to show you.
Fabulous. Sounds wonderful. Great. Well, Willie, thank you so much. That was really fantastic. Lots of information there. So really appreciate it.
And listen, thanks Denise for inviting me. It's I think what you're doing with this Q&A is fantastic. It's really great resource for people and that, you know. So I'm just delighted to get the opportunity to talk to some of your Instagram people and hopefully help them a little bit, you know.
That's fabulous. No, Willie, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right, enjoy the rest of the weekend.
I will, I'm off to, I'm going to relax from now. Work's done.
Good stuff.
Same to yourself. We're both working on Saturday morning.
Willie, thank you so much.
Thanks, Denise.
Thanks everybody
Cheers.
for joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.